The history of America is almost like a fictional children's story. At the same time, it took years and years of oppression and social abuse for the colonists to gain independence at any means. And when that flag was humiliated, every citizen would have personally held up the flag to ensure that it would not drop. They saw what the flag stood for, but at that time, did they even know what it would become? Then, that flag failed its people quickly with the Articles of Confederation. But, through trial and error, the Founding Fathers fixed the government to create one of the oldest democratic governments that is still relevant today. Luckily for the US, the Founding Fathers knew that any government that was implemented would be subject to tyranny. They did their best to prevent this by creating an open set of rules that would protect its citizens and prevent the government from becoming too big in any area. They did this by implementing amendments to the Constitution. I don't like saying that. They did this by planting the seed in the Constitution. By doing this, a gate was open to fix any issues that came in the future. Each amendment would better protect the rights of the people. The first 10 amendments, known as the Bill of Rights, was put in place as insurance of individual liberty, so that their freedoms would never be squelched, as experienced in England. So the First Amendment gives basic rights such as freedom of religion, speech, press, assembly, and petition, also known as the Five Freedoms. This prevents us from becoming an authoritarian hellhole like North Korea. So, yes, you may have a coexist bumper sticker if you would ever want that. Remember your right to petition the government? Well, if that doesn't work, then I've got just the thing for you. The Second Amendment provides our right to have guns, which is Barney style for bear arms. The easiest way to remember this is to watch someone load a gun. It takes 2 steps. 1, 2. Now you're ready to defend your homeland from tyranny. If there ever is a civil war, and there are US boys about, the Third Amendment comes in to tell the soldiers that they can't stay in your house to fight the other boyos. The best way to remember this one is to think about it as a step after you go to war with the government. 3 being the third step after 2.
Wow!
The Fourth Amendment states that law enforcement cannot search your property without consent, or probable cause that you've
violated the law.
I can easily remember this by thinking back to the time when I had 4 dead hookers in my trunk and I got pulled over. The Fifth Amendment protects individuals from self-incrimination, conviction of a capital offense without a grand jury present, and it also ensures that you won't get convicted twice for the same crime. In the movie Double Jeopardy, Ashley Judd kills her husband twice. Then she was able to get away with it because she got convicted of the same exact crime once before.
Double kill.
The right to a speedy and public trial is protected in the Sixth Amendment. Speedy like my car when I power shift into 6th gear and break my transmission for the 5th time. The Seventh Amendment is somewhat the same. They both deal with matters of law and courts, but where 6 deals with criminal law, the 7th deals with civil law. It allows you to sue your neighbor for throwing corn into your lawn, making those damn birds come back. The Eighth Amendment protects from cruel or unusual punishment, or excessive fines. For example, they can't castrate a pedophile and stick him in a room full of 8-year-olds. The Ninth Amendment covers you once more by stating that the Constitution doesn't cover everything. So with that being said, just because something isn't stated in the Constitution doesn't mean that the people don't have that right. Kind of like how your parents said that you can't drink, but they didn't say you couldn't try black tar heroin. So if there is an issue that isn't covered in the Constitution, the states have a right to decide on those issues individually. This is easily remembered by thinking the T in 10 means tyranny, and a good government would have a large state to battle tyranny in the federal. An individual is not to sue states that they do not reside in. Remember this by thinking of the one as one individual and the other one as another individual, because they're equal. Two ballots. One for the president-elect and one for the vice president. Just because Hillary lost doesn't mean that she would get to be VP under Trump. That would be a mess. That would just be totally... Hillary in office at all would just be bad. My wife is a doctor. The 13th Amendment abolished slavery and ultimately freed the African Americans. The only way I remember this one is, despite making up 13% of the population, to think that when slaves were okay, it was when they were first brought over with only 13 colonies. When slavery was abolished, there were 36. Next to follow, African Americans were made citizens. That's really the only way I remember it.
Number 15
is the right to vote for African Americans. Not hard to remember, but that might be what you get. This amendment implemented income tax. The way I remember this is 666, because taxation...
The devil!
The 17th Amendment set up the direct election of senators. Senators occurs after tax, which at the time was mostly a federal thing. The age to consume alcohol in most countries is 18. In 1919, that changed. No one was allowed to sell alcohol. Bourbon County, Kentucky was pissed. It's finger licking good. I guess you can remember the 19th Amendment by thinking the N in 9 means now able to vote, I guess. You take 10 points off. The 20th Amendment ends the previous president's term and starts the next term on the 20th of January. Easy enough. In the U.S., you have to be 21 to drink, which is coincidentally the number of amendments that repeals prohibition. President's can only run for 2 terms. 2 equals 2 terms. The 23rd Amendment gives residents of Washington, D.C. the right to vote for president. 23T, the right to vote. Remember that statement about how taxation is theft? Well, the 24th Amendment bans poll taxes. 24, free, F, the people from theft. The 25th Amendment states that if a president is removed from office or dies, the vice president will take over the presidency. 25, F, fired.
You're fired.
Remember this one by making Oh, this is the last one? Oh, fuck, thank God. Oh, again, since taxation is theft and politicians are paid by you, the 27th Amendment was created to keep congressmen from giving themselves more of you tax money until the end of their terms.